What's up, guys? It's Rob here, and today I'm going to be talking about Terra Classic, ticker symbol LUNC, and the potential that it has to burn to 1 cent. A lot of people have been saying that it can burn to 1 cent. A lot of people have been saying it can go to $1. We're going to be talking about some of the catalysts and breaking down actual numbers and doing some math to figure out how likely it is that these catalysts, that this burn tax that people are talking about implementing, is actually to take Terra Luna to 1 cent. And we're going to start off by looking at the proposal. Okay, there's a 1.2% tax proposal for LUNC, which will be available for voting on September 10th, and if approved, activated around September 20th. Now, keep in mind, guys, this doesn't actually mean that all transactions for Terra Luna get burnt, okay? It only applies to transactions on the Luna Classic chain, and exchanges such as Binance aren't actually operating on the Luna Classic chain. So it requires that each individual broker or exchange actually allow the tax to take place. Now, fortunately, we've seen that Binance confirmed support for the Terra Luna Classic tax, okay? We've also seen that KuCoin and Gate.io support the 1.2% tax, and if it ends up being implemented, they will also implement it on their ends. And let's just, for the purposes of this video, assume that all brokerages will do the same. Let's just assume that that's going to happen and that everyone will actually implement the tax. Now, what's actually going to affect this tax and what's actually going to hopefully get Terra Classic up in price? That's what people want. They want it to get to 1 cent or higher. And what's actually going to do that? Well, the tax relies on the daily volume being high. And you can see that currently the daily volume is fairly high, right? We're looking at peaks right here of about $3.9 billion in daily volume. That's actually bigger than the actual market cap of Terra Classic. Currently has a market cap of about $3.1 or $3.2 billion. And I've done some calculations here using this market cap, using this daily volume, and we're going to figure out how the burn could potentially take Terra Classic to 1 cent, okay? Now, without the burn, what we would need to see is 20x in Terra Classic. We would need to see not just the price 20x, but the market cap. Now, whatever happens, we're going to need to see the price 20x to get Terra Classic to $1, because currently it's trading for $0.0005. And to get it to 1 cent, we just need to see a 20x. That's just what we would need to see. And there are a couple of ways that people have been talking about this burn. And a couple of the ways, unfortunately, are unrealistic. There are 3 scenarios how this burn could go, and there are 2 that are very popular ideas, but are actually a little bit incorrect. And I'm going to break down what those are. Now, assume that this is a chart regarding the price of Terra Classic. A lot of people are saying that, or at least a lot of people may be thinking that the way the burn is going to work is that Terra Classic's price is going to remain steady throughout the course of the burn. And then as soon as enough tokens have been burnt so that they can have a relatively low market cap and still maintain a cent price, they're assuming that all of a sudden this thing might just explode in price once the market cap gets low enough and maintain a value of around a cent, or maybe go higher, depending on how bullish you are on it. What a lot of people are also explaining out there is that there will be a steady decrease in the supply of Terra Classic, and thus a steady increase in the price. And they are assuming that if the price starts at a fraction of a cent, that eventually it'll hopefully get to this 1 cent mark, this green line that I've drawn. And they're saying that it will look something like this, that Terra will be getting burnt every day, and that eventually it will get to the 1 cent mark some days later. Now, if this were true, if this was the way that things were going to happen, if either of these situations were true, then it would take about, at the current daily volume, it would take 64 days until enough Terra Classic tokens have been burnt so that we could be at 1 cent with our current market cap. However, both of these situations aren't actually how the burn works. They're not correct. There is some faulty math and a misunderstanding there about how the burn actually works and what the chart would look like when this burn gets implemented. If the burn works as everyone hopes and the daily volume maintains itself, if we see the same daily volume every day of $3.9 billion, which is a massive daily volume, I will say, that's a very large daily volume, and we'll talk about that in a second. But assuming we maintain that level, what the burn would actually look like in terms of Terra Luna price is initially, yes, it would start out very strong, but over time, the longer it went on, the slower the growth would be. And you would see a slowing in this growth, and I will explain why you would see a slowing in this growth and eventually something that would look like a stagnation, even though the growth would still technically be going up just slower and slower. And I'll explain why that is, okay? We have a current total supply of 6.1 trillion Terra Luna Classic tokens. With a daily volume of 3.9 billion, here's how long it would take Terra Luna at each price, or how many tokens they'd be burning each day at these given prices, right? The burn per day, if you maintain a daily volume of $3.9 billion, okay, at the current price, $0.0005, is 93 billion tokens burnt per day. That's the daily burn rate. Now, if you double the price, if the price ends up doubling, which people are expecting it will, right? You'll see an increase in price as supply diminishes, as these tokens are getting burnt. At least that's what people are hoping. So if things go how people hope, then once the price is at a tenth of a cent, okay, $0.001, we would only be burning 46 billion tokens per day, okay? You have half the number of tokens being burnt per day, and thus the decrease in supply would be slower and slower. And you can see that if we got to half a cent, which is still, a massive gain, it's about a 10x from where we currently are, you'd only be burning 9 billion tokens per day if you still have the same daily volume of $3.9 billion. Now, the likelihood that we're able to maintain $3.9 billion we'll talk about in a second, but you can see why you would have a slowdown in the number of tokens being burnt and thus in the appreciation of Terra Luna from this perspective, right? You'd have to understand that as you burn more tokens and increase the price, it becomes more costly to burn tokens. And assuming that people aren't pouring even more money in it, assuming the same amount of money is being used to trade this thing, assuming that, you have to understand the fact that you'll be burning fewer tokens because the tokens are what you're burning. It's not a percentage of the money necessarily. It is in a way, but it's also the tokens. And as there are fewer and fewer tokens, you're also trading fewer and fewer tokens to maintain the same daily volume of 3.9 billion. So fewer would be burnt, and thus it would slow down the rate at which that was happening, and the price wouldn't just increase at a rate like that. It would have a more sloped line like this that would eventually, take potentially a very long time. I mean, to get to 1 cent. Now, the reason that it's not even likely to look like this is because the daily volume would have to maintain itself around $3.9 billion for that to happen. And you can see that, yeah, we have gotten up to that amount. If you look over the past month, you can see that a month ago, the daily volume was only $113 million. Obviously, it's garnered a lot of interest. You can see a lot more people are getting into Terra Classic than were before. Will that volume maintain itself? Likely not. It likely won't maintain itself for the period of months or years that would be required to actually get it to 1 cent. And it would be months or years. I mean, at the current price, it's 64 days, right? And once you get, to double the price, it's 128 days. And you really need to 20x the price to actually get to 1 cent. But we can look at other volumes for other coins, some of the other top coins. So BNB coin, the number 5 coin out there, right? We're not going to count the stable coins that are constantly trading at $1 because those are used for transactions. Their daily volumes aren't really representative of what crypto trading looks like. And we're not going to use the 2 biggest, Bitcoin or Ethereum, because it seems very unlikely that Terra Classic will get as big as those. But we can look at maybe the number 5 coin, right? And Terra Classic's all the way down here at number 26. And I'm not saying that it can't appreciate in price. So I'll tell you guys what I think about that once we finish this final example, right? So BNB coin, daily volume of about $1 billion. Currently, Terra Classic, very popular, has $3.9 billion worth of daily volume, but that's because it's at the peak of a very hyped up cycle when people are talking about a massive burn. And once people come to terms with the actual gains from that burn, I would expect that we would see a decrease in volume following that. You can look at the one of the next largest coins, right? Let's look at the next largest coin, Ripple, XRP. You can see it has about $1.1 billion worth of daily volume. Let's look at the next one, Cardano, ADA. It is right here, and we've got about $680 million worth of daily volume. Let's look at the next largest, Solana, the number 9 top crypto, has about $1 billion worth of daily volume. And we can even look at Polkadot, the number 10 crypto, which has about $385 million worth of daily volume. So we're looking at a situation where Terra Classic, I wouldn't expect it would maintain this extraordinarily elevated amount of daily volume and would thus take even longer, right? According to these calculations, it would be burning coins even slower. And it's just, in my mind, not going to be as a lot of people are saying it will. A lot of people don't seem to understand that the more the price rises, the tougher it is to actually burn tokens. And that's it's just unfortunately something that people haven't really come to terms with. Now, I'm not saying that there isn't some long term potential if interest maintains itself in Terra Classic. There are other coins that engage in burns like this, that engage in taxes like this, that I do support and believe in more than I believe in Terra Classic, mainly because they have strong developer communities. And, SafeMoon's one of them. I am a fan of SafeMoon because that's what it was built to do. And there is a developer presence behind supporting that mission. With Terra Classic, it's certainly gained a lot of popularity among retail. Do I think it's the most likely that we're going to continue to see all that attention stay the entire time it would have to actually get this thing to 1 cent? Not too likely, in my opinion, right? I don't think we'll see that. That's just not what I'm thinking right now. But there is certainly potential that we could continue to see an uptick while we're on the uptrend in interest and attention. And maybe as we get closer to the burn, potentially more people could come into the coin and raise the price that way. But I wouldn't be counting on the burn taking us to 1 cent anytime soon. It could help. It could potentially help, but I would be more expecting to see a big decrease in daily volume as soon as people start getting taxed 1.2% on every transaction. Those are just my thoughts on Terra Classic. I'm just trying to share some ideas that I've had with you guys and some statistics that I've found, and hopefully that was helpful. Keep in mind, guys, none of it was financial advice. It's just my opinion. Obviously, Terra Classic could go either way. It could continue to explode and it could get decimated. But I just wanted to share some of what I've been thinking with you guys. So if you appreciate that, feel free to subscribe to the channel. And other than that, I hope you have a great rest of your day. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.